Review copy provided by Nintendo. Well, thanks a bunch, Nintendo. World of light and a doodly-doo. World of light and a how do you do? World of light and a bling blong, it's true. Ultimate's the best game in the world, 'cause Dark Samus! I've given this disclaimer 1,000 times already, but just in case you're joining me for the first time here, I will give it one last time. There are two things you should know about me going into this Smash review. One, I did not play Smash for Wii U or 3DS. I missed that entire generation of Smash, so I'm not 100% up to speed on what's new for Ultimate and what was new in Smash 4, so forgive me if I sound like a dummy sometimes. Second, I am as casual a Smash fan as you can get. I know very little of the deeper workings of the game. My perspective is one of a simple couch multiplayer Smash kind of guy, so again, forgive me if I sound like a dummy sometimes. Moving on though, this review is going to be a little different. Usually I try to dig into just about every aspect of a game that I have an opinion on, but this time I'm going to try to keep things a little more brief than they probably could be. There's a lot to this game, and I could spend an hour going over every little thing, just being like, then there's this thing, and I think this about it, then there's that thing, and I think this about it, but I just don't think it's necessary, and being such a casual fan, I don't think I could do it all justice anyway. So instead, for the most part, I'm just going to hit the most important talking points and cover the game's modes in slightly broader strokes. Looking at this script, I do realize it's still going to be like 20 minutes long, but I guess that's just a testament to how much this game has to offer. 20 minutes is me being brief and glossing over some things. First off, let's just talk about the moment-to-moment gameplay itself. Smash has always been stupid amounts of fun, but it has never been more fun than it is now. It's really hard to pin down exactly what's been done to improve the experience, but no matter who you're controlling or what you're doing, the game just feels great. It ain't quite as fast as Melee, of course, but everything is still really zippy and responsive, and animations have all been tweaked and refined to perfection. Even after many hours with the game, I'm still noticing all these little details that have made the Smash experience better. I'm constantly going, whoa, this character is actually really good now. Oh, that item does that now. Oh, that makes so much sense. This move is more powerful now, finally. Oh, when you do these two things together, this happens. That's huge. It's this never-ending torrent of small improvements that add together to make what feels to me like the most refined Smash I could ask for. And of course, one thing improving the experience is the sheer volume of content on offer. There are so many stages and items that it was a long time before I'd seen them all. And even now, I look at the stage menu and for a few, I'm like, I'm not 100% sure I've played on that one yet. There are so many stages that it feels like I'll never get bored with what we've got. Then the characters, man. The roster in this game is positively obscene. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet of Nintendo history. The returning characters have been so heavily tweaked and rebalanced that each and every one deserves at least a tryout or two, and I've barely even scratched the surface on that front. Then of course there are the new characters, and most of them seem really intriguing to me. I'm still getting back into the whole Smash thing, so I'm mostly sticking to old favorites, but the second I'm more comfortable, I'm going hard after Ridley, because his moveset fascinates the heck out of me. The crazy volume of characters and moves and stages and items in the game is made even more incredible when you consider the attention to detail. It feels like absolutely nothing in this game was included without first studying the source material closely. Whether it's the certain way Inklings lob their ink bombs, or the way Ridley barks in anger after he launches someone off a ledge with his sideways special, or how the conductor changes in the Spirit Track stage, or how Mega Man's final smash brings in all these other Mega Man guys. Everything is crafted with love and care. It makes you feel like every single one of these series is important, and that nothing is too obscure to be included. No detail is too small. And all this is, of course, held up by the game's stellar presentation. There's more attention to detail than ever, and that attention to detail has never been more detailed and attentioned. Every single individual piece of this game looks amazing. The characters are expressive, the assist trophies are awesomely animated, and the stages are simply stunning. In fact, I'd say the stages are the biggest stars of the show when it comes to graphics and art style. They've got these gorgeous backgrounds, and some of the classic stages have been given exquisite makeovers. And yet, despite how great the game looks, it always manages to run like butter. The resolution is so sharp you could cut a roast with it, and even with 8 players on a massive stage, you're looking at a steady frame rate. You have to try very purposefully to make the frame rate dip. Pretty much no matter what you're doing, it looks great and it runs great with little to no sacrifices, and that is very refreshing for a Switch game, seeing as most of them will give you either resolution or frame rate and even scale down when needed. Now we come to what has always been Smash's main attraction, the multiplayer. And again, I'm not going to dig into every little thing on offer here, but suffice it to say, Smash Ultimate lets you and your friends play however you want. There are so many different modes and customization options, and you can finally make your own rule sets and set one of them to default. It's a little annoying that there's no on-the-fly rule changing and you have to back all the way out and edit a set whenever you want to make a change, but the ability to default to stock is something I've been wanting for nearly 20 years. Some of the options we've been given entirely change how the game is played. You can elect to use final smash meters instead of random smash balls, which makes the whole system more balanced and fair and accessible for more serious players. You can boost or weaken certain characters if your playgroup feels they're too weak or too overpowered to use. You can play a mode where each fighter can only be used once, so you've all got to constantly adjust to new fighters. You can use spirits if you want to, which I'll talk about in a bit. Every player can remap any button on their controllers, which should just be standard practice by now, but somehow it isn't, so it's all the more appreciated here. If it's an option you want, it's probably here. If it potentially makes the game better, they probably included it. You can shape the experience to fit your wants and the wants of your friends, and that of course makes it an incredible multiplayer game, one that is nearly unmatched in the realm of couch play with your buddies. Knocking controllers on the couch ain't all there is to do though. Smash Ultimate absolutely does not disappoint in the single player department. There are two main single player modes, and the first is the return of Classic Mode. I've always enjoyed Classic Mode to a decent degree, but Ultimate takes it to a whole new level. Each character has their own unique gauntlet, and each one is relatively short. Because of this, the mode never gets stale, and there's much more incentive to clear it with every character because you're not just grinding through this big long thing that's identical each time. Also, it uses that Sakurai signature feature, the difficulty slider, and the further you're able to move along this awesome mural thing during the course of a run, the more rewards you get at the end. The result is a fun, fresh, and highly addictive new take on Classic Mode, and whenever I've got a free moment, I'm tempted to boot up the old Switch and tackle it with one or two more characters real quick. But then, of course, we come to the piece de resistance, World of Light. And this is where the Spirit system comes in. Spirits can be used to augment your character with improved stats and various buffs and resistances. Here's where things get really interesting though. These spirits are possessing the game's fighters, and you've got to fight them to free them. But each spirit is represented by the fighter that resembles them most, and they're altered to look as close to the spirits as possible, whether it's with a different color palette, or a pre-equipped item, or a different size, etc. This is extremely clever, and it's always fun to come up against some spirit and see the silly ways it alters a fighter. You've got to use your imagination a little, but it's like a way for the Smash team to include tons and tons of fighters without them really being fighters. Perhaps the best thing about these spirits, though, there is no series or game or character too obscure. If it's been in a Nintendo game, it just might be a spirit. And it's kind of stupid that mere familiarity is such a satisfying thing, yet I can't even tell you how many times I was just overjoyed to come across some specific Zelda character from one game I never thought I'd see again, or a partner from Thousand Year Door, or a beast from Pikmin. I mean, come on, in your very first spirit battle, Mario is possessed by a smoky Prog, the weird secret boss from Pikmin 1. That's like the best thing that's ever happened to me. Even beyond the fun of familiarity though, there are other interesting elements to these spirit battles. There are different hazards and win conditions and changes that happen mid-battle. World of Light is essentially a massive version of the event matches from previous games, which is great because I've always loved event matches. And while a lot of these fights are pretty easy on easy or normal difficulties, some of them are hard as heck, and basically require that you return later when you're stronger, unless you want to try about 100 times. Between spirit battles, you move around a gigantic world map, which is even more gigantic than it seems because it contains portals that take you to other areas as well. Navigating the map adds a lot to this mode, as there are different environments to explore with differently themed spirits, lots of winding paths and directions to choose from, treasure to find which you can use to upgrade your spirits and buy new ones, and even some light puzzle elements. It gets even better though. You earn skill spheres, which you can use to upgrade yourself using your skill tree, and some of these upgrades really turn you into a beast. It's incredibly satisfying, and I only wish there was some kind of multiplayer tournament mode or something where players could earn spheres and upgrade themselves as they fight with their friends. To top off World of Light, there are even some boss battles to enjoy, and the whole thing is really meaty. It took me about 20 hours to beat, and will take me a few more to earn all the spirits and unlock all the fighters. All in all, World of Light is extremely fun, and even if it's not the story-driven, cutscene cutscene-packed campaign that Subspace Emissary was, it's terrific in its own unique ways, and actually has a pretty epic ending chapter. I do have a few small complaints though. It's fun, but the spirit battles can be pretty repetitive and kinda run together. It's not great for plowing through for hours at a time, better for chipping away at over a few weeks. Also, there are many hazards in these stages, and many spirits that can help negate them, which is great for the most part. But sometimes you'll only have to deal with a hazard one time before you get the right spirit for it, and in some rare cases, I even found a hazard negating spirit before I'd even seen the hazard, completely eliminating the challenge. It's just a little weird how they ordered these spirits sometimes. Then there are these dojos where you can alter a spirit's stats, basically training them in a certain fighting style. My problem with these is that nearly all of them seem to take away more than they give. Nearly all of them lower your attack, which is just a complete deal breaker for me. They just seem kind of worthless, though maybe if I continue to dig deeper into the spirit system, I'll discover that they're actually the best thing in the game or something. I don't know. There is one dojo where you just leave your spirits there and they level up Pokemon nursery style. This is useful, though my problem here is that it kind of renders the entire food XP leveling system worthless because it only takes like a day to level 4 guys up to max. It's a little too useful, basically. Another complaint about World of Light, and in fact spirits in general, it's awesome how you can ask the game to automatically pick a team for you because it saves you the time of hunting down the right support spirits to help negate stage hazards. But most of the time, when you're picking primary spirits, the game just refuses to actually pick your strongest ones for you. I don't know what makes it think that a common level 1 spirit is the best pick for a super hard battle, but that's it's just the way it feels, I guess. So I've always got to go in and grab one myself. Fortunately, you can sort by category and save teams though, so that's nice. The great thing about spirits is that they spill out of World of Light and into the main game. You can use them in multiplayer, but only if you so desire, of course. This is an extremely interesting concept that really changes how the game works, and the prospect of building up a great spirit team is an exciting one. There are something like 1,200 spirits in total, and you earn most of them by fighting them on the spirit board. Here they come up randomly, and if you lose a battle, the spirit disappears until it randomly reappears later. After you beat a spirit, you've got to play this little mini game where you shoot it through a gap in its shield, and if you miss, you break some of the shield and have to try again later. There are items that can be used to change what spirits come to the board, refight spirits you've lost to, and even take another shot, literally at a defeated spirit. You get all these items, along with food that levels them up, from most of Ultimate's modes, which is great because it means whatever you're playing, you're earning useful stuff, assuming you like messing around with spirits. And if you're interested in collecting lots and lots of spirits, whether simply for collection purposes or to find all the best ones for your team, the spirit board provides a nearly endless supply of stuff to do. It's always something you can sit down and mess with, and combined with the meatiness of the main campaign, it makes for a Smash game that even a lone player can play for a long, long time. And as a primarily single-player kind of guy, this is incredibly important to me. Here's another issue I've got with spirits though. It's not as easy as I would like for every player to fight using their own spirits. Single console multiplayer has always been the best way to go with Smash, but if you do that here, every player is limited to the spirits on the one save file. Everyone can use their own spirits when you system link, but that's not nearly as convenient as just bringing your controller over to your buddy's house and playing on their TV. What we really need is the ability to save our spirit teams and drop them into our friends' games. I don't know if a regular amiibo can save that much data, but what if they made a special spirit logo amiibo or something you could save them on too? I know this is kind of a small detail, but using spirits in multiplayer is something I really want to get into, and it's slightly limited the way it is. The final major mode to talk about is the online. Feature-wise, it's pretty terrific on paper. You can set your preferred rules and do other stuff while matchmaking looks for a close enough match in the background. You can team up with a friend to take on fighters across the globe, and there's even a nifty spectator mode if you just want to grab some popcorn and watch other people play. Then there's the ability to create an arena, which is basically your own room that you can make open to only your friends, to the general public, or to people who have the room code. This should all make for a great time, but in practice, things are not as smooth as they could be. The single biggest problem for me is input lag. It kind of comes and goes, but most of the time, it's only just barely within the realm of still playable. And I'm no Smash fanatic, so I can imagine that more serious players will find it even more troublesome. I haven't had too many connection issues in my relatively brief time playing online, and I tend to find pretty good matches, seeing as I actually enjoy playing with items and more than 2 fighters, but I've heard that most other people have had massive problems on those fronts. I don't normally take other people's experiences into account. I try to just look at a game through the lens of my own experiences, but in this case, I do think I'm kinda gonna consider how the game is for other people as well. It is clear that this is not a good online experience. I think I'm gonna be returning to the whole Nintendo Switch Online thing in an upcoming video, so I won't go too deep into why this is messed up here, but suffice it to say, we are now paying for this online service. Nintendo heavily advertised Ultimate's online features. The Smash team clearly designed a fantastic online experience, and yet Nintendo just couldn't be bothered to make it actually work well. And to add insult to injury, there's the player limit on arenas. Mario Kart 8 gave players the option to set up a tourney and give out a code so that any number of people could join over a certain period of time. I have been dying for Nintendo to implement this feature into their other games, and the lack of it in Splatoon 2 was a massive disappointment. Here, I thought Smash was finally getting the same feature until I found that these rooms have an 8-player max. Why? I understand the idea that hooking a lot of Switches together can get complicated when you're in-game actually fighting, but here in the lobby, I should be able to have 100 or more people connecting and playing together just like in Mario Kart 8. I was looking forward to having these big Twitter tournaments or inviting all my patrons to play with me for a while without having to friend everyone first. But nope, 8 people. The end. It's just stupid, and I can't understand it. Moving on though, final unsorted thoughts before I wrap up this review. First, the omission of several modes from previous games is pretty baffling. I mean, how can you even consider taking out Home Run Contest? And since I didn't play Smash 4, I was excited to see how the stage creator had been improved over Brawls until I learned that it wasn't coming back. I can only hope that Nintendo held them back so they could drip feed them to us a la Kirby Star Allies, because removing content is a huge no-no in my book. Ultimate is trying to be the definitive Smash experience, so I don't know why they would want to hinder it like this. Character unlocks. I think this game strikes a perfect balance between making unlocks accessible enough for people who just want to get playing and making them enough of an ordeal that people like me feel accomplished for earning them. Instead of meeting specific requirements, here you can move through World of Light and find them there, or you can just play the game normally and you'll be hit by random challengers every 10 minutes or so. The difficulty seems to be kinda random, so a lot of fighters got away from me a number of times before I could snag them, and I had to utilize the very convenient option to re-challenge fighters I'd lost to. The whole process was a ton of fun, and it was just slow enough that I felt encouraged to try new fighters while waiting for my favorites to unlock. Just a very satisfying system, especially with so many characters to get through. Playing match after match and grinding characters with a friend, cheering when the right one pops up, then the intensity of trying to beat it. It was a very unique and almost sort of magical Smash experience that I will always remember fondly. Assist trophies are way different in this game. A lot of them move around and can be KO'd like fighters, and they can be super powerful and really difficult to avoid. Sometimes I like this change, it's interesting, and other times I'm like, why is this thing so strong and when is it going to go away? It is killing everyone. Definitely something I'm having to get used to. On the other hand, final smashes seem to be way less powerful and way harder to pull off. Most of them have a very small range, and if your opponent isn't already at high damage, they won't even be KO'd. It's a little disappointing sometimes, but I think overall it does even more to balance the mechanic and make it more of a tool and less of a chaotic element that messes people up at random Mario Party style. Music. I can't really say anything that isn't obvious, but it really is incredible having so many songs to listen to from across so many different games. Sometimes they don't really live up to the originals, but other times they're just really fantastic remixes, and the variety makes the game that much more fun to play, especially as a guy who listens to Nintendo music like all the time. Finally, current main, just in case you're curious. So far, I've spent the most time with Kirby, my first favorite fighter ever back in Smash 64, because for the first time since then, he actually feels powerful to me. Then I'm falling back into using Ganondorf and Roy like I did in Melee. Ganondorf is a little slower than I would like, but his smash attacks with his huge sword are awesome. Like I said earlier though, soon I want to start trying out some new characters. I still need to try everyone and see if anyone stands out. I don't really know what makes a fighter feel good to me, but I've been surprised by unlikely candidates in the past. No joke, I rocked the Puff in Brawl. Man, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. What you've got here is a gigantic love letter to not only Nintendo's franchises, but also its fans. It's a celebration of all things Nintendo, and if that ain't good enough, it is also a finely crafted fighter that dazzles on a technical level. It's incredibly deep, it's ambitious, it offers an immense amount of content, it's got Dark Samus, and above all, it is just crazy fun to play. Crazy, ridiculous fun to play. Whatever it is that makes Smash fun, and has always made Smash fun, whatever weird magic sock Sakurai and the team have been injecting into this series, this game has it by the bucketful. It is brought down a smidge by the lack of several pre-existing modes, and it's brought down something that's significantly bigger than a smidge, like a smorge or something? Sure, yeah. It's brought down a smorge by its shoddy online experience. I don't care too much about playing online, so I'm tempted to not let it affect the score too much, but I know it's really important to a lot of other people, so when you combine that with the missing features, I think it's enough to knock the game down a point. Get past all that though, and there's no doubt you're gonna have a good time with this game. And I personally can't wait to keep digging into all the characters and collecting all the spirits for many months and probably even years to come. Nintendo's put out some pretty great party games on the Switch, but when my friends and I get together, I think it's gonna be hard to get anything other than Smash on that TV from here on out. I give Super Smash Bros. Ultimate a 6 out of 7. That's my review of the Smash Brothers game. The online stinks and that is pretty lame. I gave it a 6, please don't get mad. It's still awesome and Ridley's tail move is super rad. Now to play World of Light all day, I'm at like 90%. Some of these spirit battles are messed up. Assist trophies are the worst.